Wild Bill Hickok carried some of the most lethal weapons in the Old West. His firearms helped turn him into a legend and kept him alive through gunfights, knife encounters, and the chaos of frontier towns. Here's a detailed look at what he carried and why it proved so effective for so long. James Butler Hickok was born on May 27, 1837, in Troy Grove, Illinois. His father, William, was a Baptist deacon who operated a stop on the Underground Railroad. Growing up on the family farm, young James learned how to shoot early, and by his teenage years, he was already known locally as one of the finest pistol shots around. His family's roots in America stretch back to 1635, when they emigrated from England. His great-grandfather even fought in the Revolutionary War. That deep history helped shape Hickok's worldview. If you're discovering something new about the Old West, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. There's more coming that you won't hear anywhere else. In 1855, at just 18 years old, Hickok left Illinois after a fight and headed west into Kansas territory, right in the middle of the violent Bleeding Kansas conflicts over slavery. He joined the anti-slavery Free State forces and worked as a bodyguard for General James H. Lane. During this period, he met an 11-year-old boy named William Cody, who would later become Buffalo Bill. The two remained lifelong friends. Hickok's earliest weapons were simple flintlock shotguns and percussion firearms used for hunting. But as the dangers of Kansas territory became clear, he quickly transitioned to revolvers for personal defense. By 1858, he had been elected constable in Monticello, Kansas, marking the beginning of his law enforcement career. Soon after, he worked as a teamster for Russell, Majors, and Waddell, the company behind the Pony Express. A famous story from this time tells of Hickok fighting a bear. According to the tale, the animal attacked him, and despite being crushed, Hickok managed to kill it with a knife by slitting its throat. While historians debate the accuracy of this story, it highlights his reliance on blades when firearms weren't an option. Now let's get into the weapons that made him famous. Hickok's signature firearms were a pair of ivory-handled Colt 1851 Navy revolvers in .36 caliber. These cap-and-ball six-shooters were always at his side. He wore them butt forward in a sash or open-top holsters, allowing for a fast cavalry-style draw. The revolvers were well-balanced, accurate, and relatively lightweight, around 2.6 pounds each, making them easier to handle than bulkier .4 caliber models, especially on horseback or in tight indoor spaces. Designed by Samuel Colt between 1847 and 1850, the 1851 Navy featured a 7.5-inch octagonal barrel and fired .36 caliber rounds using black powder. It had a muzzle velocity of about 840 feet per second and could be accurate up to 100 yards in skilled hands. The cylinder was engraved with a naval battle scene from the 1843 Battle of Campeche, which gave the weapon its Navy name. By 1873, more than 250,000 had been produced, making it Colt's most popular percussion revolver. Hickok customized his pair with nickel plating and engraved backstraps reading J.B. Hickok 1869. He maintained them meticulously, cleaning, reloading, and practicing daily. Witnesses reported seeing him shoot corks out of bottlenecks at 90 feet and keep rolling targets moving with rapid fire. These accounts came from people who saw his skills firsthand. Even after metallic cartridge firearms became widely available following the Civil War, Hickok chose to stick with his Navy revolvers. He knew them inside and out, trusted their performance, and relied on years of muscle memory that made them feel like extensions of his own hands. Although he owned some converted versions, including .38 caliber models, the ivory-handled Navies remained his primary weapons. These revolvers saved his life multiple times. One of the most notable incidents occurred in 1861 at Rock Creek Station in Nebraska. During a dispute, Hickok shot and killed David McCandless and two others, likely in self-defense. Newspapers later exaggerated the event, claiming he killed a dozen men, but the real number was 3. Despite the limitations of cap-and-ball technology, such as occasional misfires, Hickok's careful maintenance ensured his weapons performed reliably. He also carried backup firearms, including .41 caliber Williamson Derringers. These small, single-shot pistols were easy to conceal in a vest pocket. While limited in capacity, They provided a crucial last line of defense, especially useful in gambling halls and other dangerous environments. Later in life, Hickok carried a .32 rimfire Smith & Wesson, model number 2 revolver. This 5-shot pocket pistol, with a 6-inch barrel and rosewood grips, was found on him after his death in Deadwood on August 2, 1876, when he was shot by Jack McCall. The weapon was accurate up to about 50 yards, and its ownership was confirmed decades later by historian Ed McGivern. Hickok also owned heavier firearms, including a converted .44 caliber Colt Army Model 1860 and .44 Smith & Wesson American revolvers, gifted to him in 1874 by Buffalo Bill Cody and Texas Jack. However, he rarely used them, preferring the familiarity of his navies. For longer-range engagements, Hickok relied on rifles. He owned a Winchester Model 1866 lever-action rifle, chambered in .44 rimfire. Known as the Yellow Boy due to its brass receiver, it could hold up to 15 rounds and fire rapidly. A skilled shooter could empty the magazine in under 30 seconds. Hickok reportedly used this rifle during an 1869 engagement alongside the 7th Cavalry. His most prized long gun was a .50 caliber Springfield Model 1870 trapdoor rifle, a single-shot breech loader capable of delivering powerful long-range shots. It weighed about 9 pounds, had a 36-inch barrel, and a muzzle velocity exceeding 1,300 feet per second. This rifle could take down large game, or enemies, at distances far beyond the reach of a pistol. It was buried with him in Deadwood. Earlier in his career, Hickok may have used Sharps or Hawken rifles for buffalo hunting, though records are unclear. When firearms failed or ran dry, Hickok relied on knives. He carried a large Bowie knife, known for its 8 to 12-inch blade, ideal for close combat. Photos also show him with a butcher knife tucked into his belt, tools that were as practical as they were deadly. His layered approach to weaponry proved effective in real combat. The Rock Creek incident built his reputation, but it was his 1865 duel with Davis Tutt in Springfield, Missouri, that made him famous nationwide. In what is considered the first recorded quick-draw duel in American history, the two men faced off at 75 yards. Tutt fired first and missed. Hickok calmly aimed, bracing his pistol on his opposite arm, and fired a single shot, killing Tutt instantly with a bullet through the heart. The story spread across the country after being published in Harper's Magazine. Hickok later served as Marshal of Hays City in 1869 and Abilene in 1871. These were rough cattle towns filled with rowdy cowboys, gamblers, and troublemakers. Hickok enforced order with his revolvers, often disarming offenders and enforcing gun control laws. His reputation alone was enough to keep many in line. However, not all incidents ended cleanly. In Abilene, during a chaotic shootout, Hickok killed a gambler named Phil Coe, but tragically also shot and killed his own deputy, Mike Williams, by mistake. It was a harsh reminder of how unpredictable frontier law enforcement could be. Hickok was ambidextrous, a rare skill among gunfighters. He could draw and fire both revolvers at once if needed. By 1876, his health had declined. Glaucoma was slowly taking his eyesight. The same eyes that once allowed him to shoot targets with incredible precision were failing him. He arrived in Deadwood, Dakota Territory, hoping for a fresh start in the goldfields. On August 2, 1876, Hickok was playing poker at Nuttall and Mann's saloon. He asked to sit with his back to the wall, a habit for survival, but no one gave up their seat. While he played, Jack McCall walked up behind him and shot him in the back of the head. Hickok died instantly, holding what would become known as the dead man's hand, a pair of aces and eights. His legend only grew after his death. Stories published during his lifetime had already portrayed him as a near-superhuman gunfighter. In 1873, he briefly toured with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, but disliked performing and quit after one season. Hollywood later immortalized him. Gary Cooper portrayed him in The Plainsman, 1936, and Keith Carradine brought him to life in HBO's Deadwood. Museums today preserve his actual weapons, including one of his Colt Navy revolvers at the Buffalo Bill Center of the West. His Smith & Wesson Model No. 2 ended up in private collections. Modern replicas of his revolvers are still produced by companies like Uberti and Pieta. and not often chambered in .38 special for easier use. These allow people today to experience the same style of firearms Hickok relied on. Despite the myths, Hickok likely killed around 10 men, not the hundreds claimed in dime novels. What made him truly dangerous was not exaggerated speed or body count, but skill, discipline, and his choice of reliable weapons. His .36 caliber Navy revolvers, backup derringers, rifles, and knives formed a complete and practical system for survival in a violent time. Wild Bill Hickok survived shootouts, battles, and lawless towns for over 20 years. His weapons gave him the edge he needed until the day he was killed by a coward shot from behind. That's the real story of his loadout. If you made it this far, drop a like, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves the Old West.